Miss Monson's class. I'm Melissa Porcaro, and today I'm going to be reading you two stories. So, first one is one of the stories written by one of you guys, and here it goes. Once, there was 3 snowmen. They were really lonely and lived alone in a small, warm house made of wood. Then one day, there was a big snowstorm, and it blew all the roofs off the houses. The 3 snowmen didn't know what to do. They wanted to help the people get their houses fixed, but they didn't have tall enough ladders, and then one of the snowmen had a good idea. He was going outside to cut down a tree to make a giant ladder, and another snowman went to the store to buy nails. When they got back home, they were ready to make the ladder. One snowman held one piece of wood, while another snowman held another piece. The other snowman nailed the pieces of wood together. Finally, the ladder was finished, and the snowmen went out to fix the houses. It was dark, so one snowman had to bring a flashlight so the other snowmen could see. First, they went to the store to buy some roof tiles and all the tiles they needed to fix the roofs. Alrighty. And then I wrote the same story but added on a bit. It's called The Funny Snowman Adventure and the Sniveling Snowstorm. Alright, this is the cover that I made. Alrighty. Here it goes. It was a cold winter's night in the busy town of Garth on Brook Street, located in the slopes of Canada. There was a light snowfall and skin-piercing breeze. It was quite pleasant to look out, how the trees rustled with the crisp snowflakes all around, but oddly enough, everyone was huddled in their warm cabins, sitting by the fire. Why odd? Well, everyone that lived in Garth were snowmen. I'm sure you're wondering by now how in the world they survived being in a warm cabin by a fire without melting. Well, that's because their town superhero, who everyone called the Heat, created special suits for everyone. These suits would regulate body temperatures so nobody would melt. Pretty neat, huh? Everyone had a different suit, specially designed for them. Through the Heat's special design and technique, from the mayor's wife, Jill's complex sewing skills, everyone was in luck and saved from melting away. Jill, the person who was in cahoots with the Heat, was the only person who knew who the Heat really was. A member of their very own town. And that's the way it needed to stay, or Sniveling Snowstorm would try to find a way and destroy him. For as long as anyone could remember, the Heat's arch nemesis, Sniveling Snowstorm, has been trying to destroy the town for reasons that are unknown. Sniveling Snowstorm was too far known by the locals. His entire makeup was a ginormous head that just appeared when he felt like showing up to rain mischief. People explained him looking like an upside-down tornado who wears bright blue sunglasses. Snowstorm's bitter temperature and freezing waves rolled fear throughout the town. Snowstorm has been trying to destroy the people's cabins for centuries. If they didn't have a house, their special suits would shut down and they would all freeze to the ground, giving Snowstorm more power, therefore causing the town to fall apart. Well, there were 3 snowmen called the Brink brothers, Jojo, Christian, and Brody. They all lived together in a cozy little cabin at the end of Brook Street. Jojo, being the oldest and also the genius in the family, looked after his younger brothers, so he was the responsible one. Jojo had a favorite yellow and maroon striped sweater he always wore with his suit and always tended to look a bit nerdy. The younger brothers were Christian and Brody. Christian was the hothead and a bit too cocky for his own good. Every morning while unzipping his red suit, he would look at himself in the mirror and go, "Ooh-wee, look at this sleek and assy abs." Everyone laughed as he gawked away. Christian wanted to do the least amount of work, but wanted to take all the credit and be noticed. Then there was Brody. He was the youngest and the chubbiest. Having the best colored light blue suit that he owned, he really stood out. He was thoughtful and loved to help. He looked up to Jojo, and growing up tried to learn as much as he could from Christian. Well, built tall for big snowmen and snow women, the cabin stood high in the sky. The constant puffs of hot, thick smoke rolling out of their chimneys made Sniveling Snowstorm livid, blocking his views of the town. So one blizzard-filled night, everyone shook in fear as they could see Sniveling Snowstorm descending from above and his head brewing up a storm. Snowstorm turned up a mean and treacherous sleet-filled disaster that night. His fits destroyed the town, crashing trees through houses, tearing through gardens, and most of all, destroying the town's cheerful ways. The morning after the terrible ruckus, the townspeople all worked together to clean up the mess. Jumping over things, Christian was checking out the ladies, making sure he was the center of attention. Jojo and Brody, the more helpful of the bunch, were talking to the mayor's wife to see how they could help. While discussing how they were going to rebuild the town, they noticed no one had a ladder tall enough to put on new roofs. Since the construction companies couldn't come in because all the roads were blocked, it was time to find a solution. Brody suggested welding the ladders together, but that wouldn't work because all the electricity was out, and the generators were ripped to shreds. After some pondering, Jojo figured it out. He thought of a way Christian could help, while looking good, of course. Christian could go cut down a tree. He would build a ladder tall enough to rebuild everyone's roofs. Brody hopped to the nearest hardware store and grabbed the things needed to put back together. Nails, bricks, etc. While Jojo started up the chainsaw to make the steps to the ladder, somebody down the street screamed, "Everyone, look!" pointing to the sky at the big black flashing bundle of gray rolling towards them. It was a sniveling snowstorm, and everyone ran for shelter. Wanting to diminish the rebuilding process of the mess he created the night before, his head started to churn. There was only one thing to do: stop him. From out of nowhere, the Heat on his way to stop this bully. The Heat was Jojo, flying through the air, shooting streaks of fire out of his buttons on his super suit. Snowstorm shrieked in fear. The heat from the fire stopped Snowstorm from being able to recreate rain, making Snowstorm weak and slowly melt away. As Snowstorm melted away, the water coming from his head created a downpour, which started to also melt the town's frozen fountain, and the water helped de-ice the pipes to the city's fountain that were previously filled with ice. Wondering what happened with those big blue sunglasses? They became the town's new landmark, smack in the middle of town. A landmark representing the day the town's biggest fear had been destroyed. The town cheered as the Heat resurfaced. While getting a close glance, the townspeople started to notice, never knowing the Heat was actually Jojo. Wanting to be treated like a normal citizen again, he insisted everyone act the same around him, and he continued to saw out the louder. Besides, Jojo liked his nerdy approach. Brody returned with the supplies and was confused as to how he didn't know his brother hid the fact that he was the Heat, and how Christian was wondering why his suit didn't look anything like his or do anything cool like shoot fire out of his buttons. Those were to be explained for another time. Not wasting any time, Jojo carried on, and the ladder was finally finished. The mayor came over to greet Jojo and thank him for helping the town's future and finding the solution to help restore the lovely town of Garth. Mayor announced to the Brink brothers that the town agreed that everyone start helping to rebuild the Brink brothers' first house. Generously accepting, Jojo propped the ladder up against the chimney and the building began. After some serious teamwork, the town was cleaned up and the roofs were rebuilt. Although, most importantly, the town's happiness had been restored and nobody had to live in fear of the snowing snowstorm again. Thanks, guys.